Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Owning Up. Today, I'm so excited to have our special guest, Andrea Singaas, with us, who is not only a fierce industry leader in our community and an amazing coach, but she's also part of our military spouse community here at AMC. She has been a chapter leader, she has been an advocate, and now she is hosting our leadership labs, which are incredible times for our members to get together and learn more about leadership, how to overcome some obstacles, and how to really shine bright and thrive in your business as a leader. So many of our spouses might not even know this, but you're already a leader, even if you don't have the title on your business card. Today, we're talking about leadership skills you've been building without even knowing. So, Andrea, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, Moni. I'm so glad to be here. I do feel like it's been quite a great journey with AMC, and I'm glad always to support the mission. I believe that it is so important for everybody to be aware of and really embrace their leadership skills. And so I'm glad to be talking about this today with you.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a topic we don't talk a lot about specifically. Like there are topics like motivation, confidence, imposter syndrome. A lot of that is really comes under the umbrella of leadership. So tell us a little bit more about Leadership Lab and who shows up, and we'll dive into some big questions.
Yes. So Leadership Lab was just an idea that you and I had maybe just over a year ago, a way for members within AMC to connect and to talk, and for me to offer some coaching and pour into them some wisdom, opportunities for them to connect with others that are having similar struggles and just not feel alone in their leadership journey because we know as leaders, regardless of if you're a solopreneur or if you are the leader of a major multinational company, it's lonely at the top because you're the only one making decisions. You're the only one there. It's very hard to keep going and asking your spouse or your friends. They might not understand fully what is going into some of that decision making. So, as a leader, it's important to have some of that camaraderie and some of that support. And so putting together the Leadership Lab was our answer to providing that support for leaders within the AMC community. And so we get together about every other week and we have conversations that are around different topics, everything from imposter syndrome to, maybe even communication or presentation, executive presentation skills, whatever members need. That's what we're talking about that week. So it's been a really fun journey and to see that take off because we started out with just like one or two people and now we have a good handful every time we meet. So
And I feel like leadership is a topic we don't talk a lot of because we feel like if you're a business owner, how does leadership fit in? And that's what we're going to unmyth today. Tell me one, when military spouses hear leadership, they often think it's not for them. Why is that wrong?
oh my gosh, why is that wrong? Well, first of all, we often discredit ourselves as a whole, as primarily women, right? Over 90% of spouses are women. We're discrediting ourselves all the time and our skills and our abilities, but then often we aren't thinking of ourselves in the way that other people see us. We don't see that true reflection of ourselves in the mirror because we're just in here doing the day to day. We're often overwhelmed with having lots of things and wearing lots of hats. And so, leader is not really one of the hats that we tend to claim because we think that's somebody else. It's not us. And it truly is a myth because we are making decisions, making plans, not only for ourselves and our business, but then also our families. So, it's been really interesting to untangle some of that. But I would say that leader is definitely a title that every military spouse entrepreneur needs to embrace because the sooner you can embrace it and the sooner that you can own that and embody that and choose to lead in your own authentic way, it doesn't have to look like any sort of textbook or any sort of framework or anything like that. You just have to figure out how you want to lead and what's authentic to you so that you can use that to power your journey because everybody knows that leadership isn't easy. It's a long road. But if you're doing it in your own authentic way, there's going to be a lot less friction along the way and you're going to feel a lot better about it. And you're also probably going to go further.
Yeah, I would agree. And it's not really necessarily about rank or title because we think of leaders, people in high positions. It's about influence and action. That's the way I see it. Like, how are you influencing other people? How are you taking action to grow your business? So let's talk a little bit about what makes military spouse leadership unique. You did touch on some of these already, but there are some things in our lifestyle that just allow us to adapt and develop quickly or a lot quicker than our civilian counterparts. What are some of those things you would think are assets or things that we have developed over time to help us in our leadership skills?
So spouse leadership superpowers is what you're saying. What do we have that
Yes,
we don't even know that we have, right? So
right.
spouse leadership superpowers. First of all, you're adaptable, right?
Yes.
In the business world, this is called agile, right? There's a whole project management framework around how to adapt to change quickly and how to pivot and um, compensate for that and how to, I hate the word resilient, but you really are resilient as a leader. This is something that isn't taught very often or even talked about in the civilian sector as a leadership skill, but it is truly important. It's also one of the superpowers that you have, whether you know it or not, is you have a firm foundation in change management, which as a leadership skill is infinitely important because there's always change. Whether it's you're rebranding a product or whether you have new team members that you're onboarding or you're reorganizing or whatever the case may be, there's always change in leadership. Whether you're working like for a normal like W2 type job leadership or whether you own your own business, there's always change. So not only are you agile and you can adapt to change, but two, you can drive the change, you know what it takes. And then three, you are so good at communicating with so many types of people. You both understand the fuzziness of going someplace new and figuring out how you're going to fit in and how all those pieces fit together and how to communicate with so many different types of people in that sector. But then also, you speak military just enough to understand rank and structure so that you understand a more formalized business system as well. So you kind of are bilingual as a leader in that you just have both the speaking skills, but then also the emotional intelligence skills to be able to blend those worlds or succeed within either of those worlds. And so those are some of the superpowers, I guess, offhand that I think of when it comes to spouses that they might not really know because it's just innate. It's something that we do, it's something that we've
You're not
had to do.
doing it, you're just doing it. You don't recognize that there is a title or a like there's this not a box, but like that you're doing something that most people would define as such, right? You're just kind of going with it. I would say too, I would add, and you touched on this already, which is community building, where we figure it out. I would
Yes.
also say like something that I think we don't think about or our civilian counterparts don't think about is we're making decisions under uncertainty and crisis management, like, and those types of decision making and management of different crises under different types of situations allow us to also bring that over to our business,
Right.
because there are crises in business, there are decision making that you have to make very quickly for the betterment of your business. And those are things that we learn to do very quickly and a lot of time alone as military spouses, because our members usually at work, they're deployed, there's something going on where they're not available. And so we really have to learn to trust our innate, our intuition to make some of these decisions in crisis management. So I would say like that would be a really big one that I didn't realize I had for a long time, because I
Yes.
was just like, oh, I'm just doing it. I'm going with the flow. Like, it's so important to identify some of the things that you're doing, because I feel like we just keep pushing through and not addressing like, man, I really did good. I handled that crisis really well. And a lot of it is from having to adapt to military life.
And something that we we need to admit, even though we might not like it, is that we are used to functioning at a certain level of ambiguity, right? We really, truly, most of the time, don't have a clear certainty about what's next for us or for our family. And whether that's a PCS, whether that's TDYs, deployments, potentially transitioning out of the military, new rank, whatever it is on our military life side of things. There's always some degree of ambiguity, and we're used to functioning within that. Whereas that's not a common skill set that most people embrace and can use for their best interests. And so I really encourage people to honor that, understand it, and use it as a superpower as well.
All of these amazing tools allow our spouses that are small business owners to leading without with authority, right? So, and I think I the way I want to frame this is as a solopreneur. Most military spouses do not have big teams. They're really doing everything by themselves. They may have a few contractors from time to time. But for small business owners, you're the CEO, team of one, and janitor. How do you lead when you're doing all the things? How do you feel like you're just not in the weeds, but a leader of your business? Leading your clients, your contractors, your collaborators, building authority within your niche and demanding that from your audience and from your clients.
Mm-hmm. One thing that is so important to remember is you're the one that gets to hold the strategy and the outlook. And if you're not the one that takes a step back or takes a brief pause from time to time to get above the weeds, to get outside of the bubble and understand and acknowledge how much you've done, how much you've built, and how much capacity you still have to grow, that's when it starts to feel overwhelming. That's when it starts to feel like you're drowning. That's when it starts to feel like you don't know what to do next. And so I think that's one of the greatest opportunities for military spouses that are solopreneurs and small business owners is take that minute to slow down, step back, because you truly are doing it all. But unless you have that vision and you can share that vision and make it plain for other people who are your clients, who are your contractors, if you have people working with you or around you, um, then nobody's going to understand who you are, what your business is, and where you want to go with it. So that's sort of a little bit leadership, but it's also a little bit marketing and branding strategy as well, right? It's a kind of a mix, but you can't do one without the other.
No, I don't think you can because it starts to shine through, right? It's like self development, improvement. When you go to counseling, like as you start to use some of these strategies, techniques, these skills, and you put them into action, it starts to really reflect in everything you do in your life, your branding, your marketing, your business, even your authority at home. I feel like all of that changes for sure. What's one leadership skill you didn't realize you had until someone pointed it out?
Tenacity.
Mm.
I think that is one thing. I don't remember what it was. I remember that I was stationed in Germany at the time, and it was some sort of like a Facebook call out. Like you call on your best friends to name like one trait in you that they really appreciate, and it was like some Facebook whatever. And somebody used the word tenacious. She's one of my absolute best friends, a civilian. But she used tenacious. And I was like, first of all, I had to like look it up. Like, what does this actually truly mean? Right. This was several years ago. But then second of all, I was like, wow, like the people around you really do hold up a mirror and show you who you are when you can't believe it and see it for yourself. And so that was one thing that was truly surprising for me. And she meant tenacious in the fact of if there's anybody else out there who's like, I don't even know. Yeah, it means that you are essentially you're an overcomer and you are going to make it happen no matter what for you, for your family, for your business. And you're going to go out there and grab the world by both hands and just fearlessly and recklessly take your future into your own hands and make it yours and do so without compromise and do so without abandoning your mission, right? Whatever that is, whatever your mission is, you keep fighting and keep pushing forward no matter what comes.
And I think what's so amazing about what you just shared is that like you didn't even realize you had that. Because you're just like I said, we're just going through life. We're just doing the thing to get us to the
Yep.
next thing. We're surviving. We're, just one thing after the other after the other. We don't slow down to really acknowledge and recognize a lot of the things that we overcome as military spouses that are leadership skills and qualities that sometimes people never acquire because it is something you have to, it's like a chameleon. You're like, you have to adapt. And
Yes.
tenacity might not even be something obviously you were thinking about, but you were like, right. Like I had to move here, I had to do this, I had to do that, and I made it work. And you figure out the resources and you figure out how much time it's going to take or who you need to contact or what you need to learn or whatever it is, you figure it out. And I would say tenacity is a huge part of the military spouse, like if we had to describe them.
Yes.
I love that. So let me ask you a question. If a military spouse needed, if they're listening to this and they're like, I'm not a leader, I just do what I need to do to get to the next thing. Like I'm just a supporting role, right? What is an exercise maybe a spouse can do today to recognize their leadership?
Mm. I think one thing that you could do, and it might be a little bit overwhelming, but it's worth a shot, is first of all, take a minute to slow down with a piece of paper and a cup of coffee because most of us are always on the go. We're always trying to improve. We always are listening to a book or a podcast or we're taking kids to school. Like there's never just quiet and with us. And I think that's one thing why so many people find success in coaching is because they have given themselves permission to slow down and focus on them for a moment. So step one, slow down and focus just on you. Get a piece of paper, a pen, a cup of coffee, tea, water, whatever it is, and sit down at the kitchen table or sit down somewhere where it's quiet and write out a list of all the things that you are to others. Write out a list of all the things you are to your clients, to your contractors, to your spouse, to your squadron, to whoever it is in your life so that you can see the many different hats that you wear and the many different ways that you do lead. Because I think everyone needs that reinforcement and that awareness because so often we're just going through the motions and doing all the things, but we don't realize how much we are to everyone else. So that would be one thing that you can do pretty quickly and easily. And I would spend some time on it. Don't just sit there for 3 minutes and write it down, but like sit there and think about it for who have you led over the last 15 years. I'm talking everything from brownie troop leader to business owner.
Counselor, event organizer, oh my gosh, on call nurse,
Yes.
24/7. I mean, let's just label them out. Let's give them some ideas. You are, like I said, you're a counselor, you're a PCS expert.
Yes. Yes, girl, for sure.
You're a show.
You are also like a community builder, right? You are building a community every time you start over. You are the ultimate communicator, like you are the one organizing the chat groups for your friends or for your kids' school. You are also the one that is a talent management or a recruiting because if you have any sort of contractors or anybody that you're working with or collaborating with, you're building those relationships. So you're kind of in talent recruitment. I mean, there's so many things that you do, so many. So those are just, I mean, off the top of my head. And that's not even taking all the leadership stuff that you do for your family really into account. That could be a whole different notebook. You need a notebook for that one, not just a piece of paper.
So, okay, so let's have the skills, we have them all written down. How do we actually use them in our businesses? How are some of these things, if we sit down and we write them down, we don't believe we're a leader, then we're sitting down and we're reading them down, we're like, wow, I actually am a leader. Like, this is a light bulb moment. How can they actually start using this in their business? What are some things that they can start implementing to exemplify leadership?
Yeah, I would still take that list. I would circle the things that you think you do really, really well within your business. And I would underline the ones that you think, oh man, this is something that I'm not doing in my business, but I could be, like a missed opportunity or a gap, if you will. So that way you can use the ones that you've underlined to strengthen your position in the market, whatever that is, whatever you want to do with your business. But anytime that you're learning and growing as a leader, you're going to improve your business. And then circle the ones that you know you're already using and think about how you can apply those in different ways. Maybe you thought that you were just doing a good job of, serving and supporting clients through like customer service, but maybe there's other ways that you can use that client relationship building and client leadership in other ways. Maybe it's to attract new vendors, or maybe it is to retain contractors, or maybe it's to really magnify it and scale your business and do more relationship building. How can you extrapolate that to equate to new revenue?
Right. And that's really just leading your business vision, right? Like if we're talking about, how to lead, once you have these, you need to look at if there are boundaries being crossed, right?
Yes.
Look at places that you're not showing up because you maybe didn't feel like you could or had the authority to. And so doing this really allows, I would say, the spouse, the business owner to say and understand that they do have an authority within their business because of all of these acquired skills as a military spouse, and now they're transferring them to their business, but very strategically. I think that's important to remember. You're thinking of it strategically. And maybe it's a long list, but don't overwhelm yourself. Maybe focus on one or two things, I would say, because somebody might sit down and get overwhelmed, right?
Yes.
So now you're going to be reframing the vision for your business now that you understand you are the leader. You're just not the worker bee doing the things. You're the leader creating the vision for this portable business that you want to create. And it allows you to lead with clarity because you know where you're showing up and you're not showing up. So I think one thing that might come up is for solo entrepreneurs, they might have this dilemma, right? As a leader, now that I know all of these things, I'm putting them into action. How do you make big decisions alone? And I know this is a huge, I've been a solopreneur. I know many, I coach many, I know you do. Like, how do you make big decisions alone when you don't have really anybody to lean into to make some of these decisions that like a corporate company would?
Mm-hmm. Um, I mean, this is where I could give a pitch and say get a coach, but I won't. I'm actually going to give you the what a coach would tell you. Um, is it take the time, like take the time you need to make the decision, right? Anything that you need to make like a snap decision immediately, if it's really big, it's probably still going to be there tomorrow.
Right.
So take the time, do a gut check. Like if it doesn't feel good, it's not right. And that's the one thing, it always comes back to get me. If not all clients are good clients, just because they have money doesn't mean they're the right fit.
Right.
Not every great deal is truly a great deal. Like if it's a great deal today, it's going to be a great deal tomorrow. So a lot of times, like if it's oh, we need to switch our CRM system or we need to implement a CRM, but that's a big investment for a lot of solopreneurs. That's probably one of the bigger first investments that you make outside of like initial marketing website kind of stuff if you don't build it yourself. Is it the right thing? Do you need to have it? Ask your question. Take the time to ask the questions. Also, ask ChatGPT. Say, hey, I'm thinking about investing in. I keep going back to the CRM system, but let's do it.
Roll
I'm
with it.
thinking about, yeah, I'm thinking about investing in this. It costs this much per month. This is how much my revenue was last year. Am I ready for it? How's it going to help me? What should I be thinking about? Ask me critical questions as if you're my business coach, and see what it comes up with. You would be surprised, and it might give you just enough time to think through those decisions before you need to make it. Before you make a mistake, right? That's always the worst. Is I think that's when we start pausing more. Is right after we've made a mistake. But everybody in business has made mistakes. There's nobody that's still in business that hasn't made a mistake.
Right. You have to make mistakes to learn and grow from them. And I think sometimes mistakes open different ideas and strategies and help you to maybe even grow in a different way than you would have thought the direction you wanted to go in. That is such great advice. I'm writing that down. trusting your gut is a big one. And, not have that, what is it called? Analysis paralysis, where you're just like
Yes.
over and over and over and over. Like, give yourself a window. So I always say, like, I'm going to answer this in 48 hours.
Mhm.
I'm going to make this decision in the next week, or I will know by spring, whatever, right? Really just creating deadlines for yourself and holding yourself accountable to making those decisions. Because if not, you'll never do it. Like, you'll just never do it. And I think, trusting your gut is huge, and seeking counsel is getting a coach. And just really asking questions, maybe from people who've done what you want to do, or you see them running a business and managing different things. Reach out to them. Hey, how much would you charge for a 1 hour coaching session? I need answers on these things. Could you help me?
Yep.
And more than likely, they're going to get on a call with you, or they'll refer somebody who's better equipped to handle your type of questions, right?
Yep.
So doing your due diligence is really important on outsourcing that type of support as well.
Mhm.
So we talked about this a second ago, and I really want to expand on it a little bit more, because I know one of the things that stands in the way of spouses leading in their business forward facing is a lot of doubt, imposter syndrome, things like that. First of all leaders, everybody famous, go find it right now. They have said somewhere they get so scared, imposter syndrome, before they walk on stage. I mean, everybody. You're talking about political, people who lead our country, to designers and singers and actors, and like everybody gets this, right? When we're talking about running a business, you have to lead forward facing. There's just no way around it right now, with the saturation online, the inundation to buy multiple products different ways from different people. You have to be online and in person. So let's talk a little bit about that, and why their voice matters, and how do you find it and use it online to grow your business.
Absolutely. The best way you're going to get beyond imposter syndrome is to have that self awareness of who you are and be authentic in your voice and who you are. The more, the better you know yourself, the better you'll be able to share your brand and your business with others. I truly believe that, because if you don't, you're going to be trying to remember what comes next, and it won't feel as authentic. It won't feel as smooth, and it won't feel um, as earnest as it could. And people can understand that when you're saying a saturated market and so many things to choose from, they want to buy something that is true. They want to not have to second guess what they're buying. They want to know. And so that's one thing I think that you can do. It's harder than I make it sound, right? Like, having that self-awareness and self-assuredness, it isn't easy, but you have to figure out what that looks like for you, so that you can possess that as a leader.
Yeah. For me, one of the things that really helped me was learning and understanding what it is that I do and what I do well, where I can lead with my eyes closed and like not question it. And you just spoke to that, like knowing your stuff. And I think being authentic, because when you try to be like somebody else or do like another brand, you can tell, and it's a struggle. Like you said, it's like peanut butter, make it smooth, like smooth peanut butter is what I was thinking, like I always figured, you know, I'm nervous. What about this makes me nervous? Okay, well, I don't know why I'm talking about this part, because I really don't know about that. What do I know about, right? And then making sure you know your stuff. Like if you say you do X, Y, and Z, make sure you do X, Y, and Z. Talk about your product and service, not somebody else's, and what theirs looks like, right? And I feel like a lot of that really helps with imposter syndrome. I know that helps for me. I also say, like, stop making it about you. Make it about how you are serving people with your product or service. And when you remove that layer of like, how do I sound? How do I look? What will people think? Do they think I'm smart enough? Do I deserve this? All of these things that, like, we have this internal monologue. I really feel like when you restrict that and you just kind of step out of that for a moment and recognize that the skill and talent you have is going to save something for somebody, or the product that you are selling is going to help somebody with something. And when you do that, that makes a big difference. It really, really does. Because we all have gifts,
Right.
right? It's important for us to figure out what that gift is and then to hone it, to nurture it, to grow it, right? And so
Yeah.
once you have that, everything else is so easy. So, so easy. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like that's something that we are always having conversations about. I don't care how many years in business you've been in business or how many you're gonna be, or if you're new or whatever. Everybody, if you're listening to this, we are all struggling with the same things, okay? All right. The $1 million question. How do you maintain leadership momentum during a PCS? It is inevitable that we are going to PCS with a
Yes.
business, unless you're an anomaly. And I feel like that word always tongue ties me, but like you're one of those very special circumstances that
Yes.
you
Yes.
get to move.
Very few spouses are going to stay in one spot while
Oh my
they're
God.
building their business.
I have one spouse that's in our community. She has been in San Diego for 13 years. I'm dying. She's had her business. I'm like, what? So when we talk about PCS in your business, she's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about because like I don't have that struggle.
Well,
So
congratulations to you. But
and
I think
many of you out there listening.
yes, and let's like be real here. Like, okay, how do you maintain the momentum when you PCS to a new location? Yes, let's talk about that, but then let's also like wrap this one up with how do you transition as a leader when you have transitions in your life too? Because different seasons mean different things as a leader. So first, when you're moving actual geographic locations, how do you maintain the momentum to like literally keep everything moving along? So, first of all, you offer some really great background education training in the hub for automations. Like, how much can you automate? What can you outsource? What is like, sometimes it is for sanity's sake taking it down to the bare minimum. Like, what is it that you have the secret sauce only that only you can do, and only do that? Outsource as much as you can. Otherwise, if you host like group coaching, maybe you're taking a 2 month break from group coaching so that you can get your house moved, get set up where you're going, and then come back. The clients that are right for you will come back, period. Dot. The rest of them, it's okay, you're going to be rebuilding in a new community anyway. um, Also, when it comes to that, facts are your friends, right? Fear and the unknown is what fuels anxiety. And I think that's what causes us to pause. That gives us that analysis paralysis when it comes to moving to new places. So, what facts can you get out of the way before you move? What can squelch that fire before you get to your next duty station? Is it meeting with the local chamber in your next town over, wherever you're going, via Zoom before you get there? Is it making some of those introduction calls? What is it that's going to kind of help you feel like you have a little bit of a grasp on it while you're still moving? Like, that might be just enough so that you feel that momentum as soon as you get there, right? Because that's the other piece of it, is there's the anxiety beforehand because we don't know where we're going, but then there's the anxiety once we get there of, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to revenue? I just got here. But if you can have a bit of a plan to get that up and going again as soon as you have boots on the ground and you're set up and ready to go, that's really, really important, right? So those are the two things I guess that I think of, like, outsource as much as you can, put on pause what you need to, take care of you because you are the secret sauce, but then also think ahead, look ahead, connect ahead if at all possible, so that you have a few things in the works or some meetings on the books so that you can re-engage, and get back into that role and get your business up and going as soon as you can in your new duty station. And then the other thing that's important is, what about like life transitions? Like, what about having, um, having a senior in high school? Like, that's a whole different level of like busy than you really know what to do with, right? Or going from having a house full of teenagers and busyness to being an empty nester. What are you going to do with your time? Or transitioning from being in an active duty role, maybe you were a command spouse and you had a lot of voluntold type things in your life, to now transitioning out and you don't have that volunteer network stuff that you did, that maybe that was part of who you pulled in for your clients, and now you're going into this life as a veteran spouse, and it looks 100% different. So it's not just like when you move to a new community, but also when you move through different seasons, you need to be able to expect that ebb and flow with your business, and know, first of all, know that it's okay, you're a human, but then also think strategically about how you can look ahead and look forward to something, with not look ahead and look with anxiety towards something.
I think a lot of times when we have our business and it's going well and then we get a deployment or a PCS especially, you feel like it's going to set you back. But with the leadership skills that you do have and then strategically setting up your business from A to B or B to C, whatever it is, the momentum will continue. You just have to set those things up and give yourself accountability and deadlines and things that you have to follow up and get done. And I know that's how I've moved every time. And it's not easy because it's really easy to be like, it's not a good day, my shipping came and da 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 da. But if you have a deadline and it's something that needs to be done and it can't be pushed, just get it done. Right? It's just holding yourself accountable to yourself as a boss. I think that
Right.
is one of the biggest things in business as military spouses, that we have businesses and then we allow other things to change the trajectory of our business because we're like, well, this happened to me and I have to move and whatever it is. And I've moved my business several times. I've continued to make money and it is all possible. It just needs to be
Right.
set up properly. You keep yourself accountable and you keep the momentum going.
Right.
So,
Well, and then I would also encourage too, like, lean into the AMC community, find an accountability buddy. Like, there are so many amazing spouses. They don't have to be at your same duty station. They can be at the next duty station, or they can be on the other side of the world in Germany, wherever. It doesn't matter. We all have shared life experiences. We all have shared goals of being able to grow a business so that we can financially support our family for any number of reasons. And find somebody that'll hold you accountable, and make, just look into the community and ask for somebody that can do that. I have that right now, actually, with a spouse, that also that's also a solopreneur that also has a business. We have a plan in place to run this crazy marketing plan, and we're holding ourselves accountable with shared scripting and then shared deadlines, and all of that, so that we actually get it done before Thanksgiving. We're filming this
I
about
get
3 weeks
that.
out. Yeah, but it's one of those things. I know that if I didn't have an accountability partner, I wouldn't do it. And so we are just checking in every week, and we have a shared document so we can see how far we're coming along with that. And sometimes that's all it takes, right? It doesn't have to be every aspect of your business, but maybe start small. If there's just this one thing that you think will keep things going, start with that, with one accountability partner. But remember that you have to be an accountability partner for them. It can't be one-sided, or else it doesn't feel very good, right? This is like a team project where everybody has to take part. Otherwise, nobody has anything to gain.
Exactly. Exactly. I love accountability. It's such a big thing for me. I think I'm a really good like solo accountability partner because I write a lot of my stuff down and give myself these deadlines, but it's always really cool to work with other people too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. What do you say to military spouse business owners who thinks I'm not ready to be a leader?
I think that's bullshit. I think you're already a leader. Like, forget it. Like, just stop. Just stop. You're
Please,
holding yourself back. Like,
please, exactly.
exactly. You are literally the only person holding yourself back from what's possible. And by thinking that you're not ready to be a leader or that you're not enough, tell me what enough is. Why don't you tell me what enough is before we go any further? Because you're going to struggle, and I'm going to tear it right back down and turn it around, because you are enough. You have everything that it takes. Just go out and do the damn thing, because you're great how you are. You bring something special that nobody else does. And if you're solving a problem for a client, you're already a business. So just go out and do the thing, right? You can always sharpen your skills. Everybody can get better. Everybody can improve. But you got to also remember, everybody makes mistakes and everybody stumbles. But you're never, ever, ever going to regret trying.
Yeah.
You will regret not knowing what could have happened if you did.
Oh, I love that. You were like, no, no bull crap here,
No,
girl.
sorry.
All you
Is this like a, hopefully there's the, we won't we'll put an explicit warning on this one maybe. Sorry guys, if you had kids in the car. We didn't mean to.
Speaking of like holding yourself accountable and understanding your leadership skills that you've already acquired, leadership loneliness, I know for me is something that I've struggled with a lot,
Mhm.
especially this last year. In 2024, I had to let my entire team go for business reasons. If I wanted my business to still be here, if I wanted AMC still to be here, I had to let my team go and do a big evaluation about where I was spending money and what the goals were and all of that stuff. I will say there have been some lonely days. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about, how do we deal with leadership loneliness? And I know you just tackled it a minute ago with accountability, but what are some other things that we might be able to implement if we can't find an accountability partner at the moment?
Mhm. Mhm. First of all, I would say that yes, I want to acknowledge every leader has lonely moments, right? And it is so hard because who do you talk to about these things that are so deeply sometimes they're really deeply personal. Sometimes it runs deep into the profession of your business. Sometimes it can impact the credibility of who you are as a business leader or a product. Um, so know that these aren't small things. Like this isn't just a ho hum, like every day we encounter this. This is a very real thing. And it can be very, very hard to get beyond it and to feel like, okay, I have what I need to keep moving on. So beyond having like an accountability partner, tune into the community, right? Tune into the community that you have available. That's why AMC exists, right? So we're not uh this community isn't here just for funsies. Like it is for fun. Like there is a lot of fun as being a part of this community. However, it is also there for a purpose. It was built intentionally to support and lift up other people within this community. And so lean into the tools and the memberships that you already have at your fingertips. There are lots of great resources out there, primarily AMC, because there are so many people who know what it's like and what you're going through. When you do truly feel like um, an army of one, if you will, when it comes to being the leader of your business and not knowing where to turn or not knowing who to talk with or talk to. Um, Take a little bit of like a self reflection minute and see if there is something deeper going on that needs to get cleared out, right? Is there something more than just what's business? And make sure you're addressing the whole person and not just the professional side of things, because if you're not addressing that personal stuff, that can hold you back a lot more than just your balance sheet.
Yeah. I heard this. It says you can't lead yourself. You can't lead your business without leading. You can't lead your business if you can't lead yourself. And
Yeah.
if you can't sit a moment of quiet time to sit down and recognize what those things are, the chaos is going to continue in your business because it's true. What is happening in here also happens externally, and it is a domino effect.
Yes.
Um, and it's really hard. I think leadership is really, really hard when you are alone.
Mhm.
And a lot of times when you are working, you're very siloed. It's very lonely. And that's why the community is there. It's there for you to plug in and share your experience and see if somebody has a suggestion. It's there for you, and everybody there, I promise you, is going through the same things. It might not
Mhm.
be in that current season, but they have been through that, or they're going to go through that. So don't ever think, and this is where I feel like some of this is a superpower too, like sharing your authentic truth about your journey as a leader in your business will help other people grow and learn as
Yeah.
well. I
Yeah.
really truly feel that. So let's talk a little bit about when is a time you struggled. Tell us about a time when you struggled with this as a military spouse leader. Like not only just the lonely leadership, but the burnout,
Mhm.
the setting boundaries, keeping
Mhm.
yourself accountable.
Mhm.
When is the time that you maybe have struggled with this as a military spouse leader yourself?
One thing, I just talked about this on a panel last week in DC, and I was very candid, was um I have had to make the choice very recently. Um, I have had the great honor and responsibility to advocate for our community as a leader, as a spouse, for unemployment, underemployment, how it impacts suicide rates within the spouse community. There are lots of things on my heart and mind with what I can do with my voice and with my community or with my network to pour back in and to make things better for the next generation of spouses, because I think that's so important for the future of the fighting force. So important. However, um I am now very blunt when I say I have to take care of me and my house first. I have to take care of me and my three girls. I have to make this business a thing. I have to earn money doing what I love as a coach and as a speaker, so that I have the money to maybe, like, the next goal is hire some military spouses to take on some of the administrative work and the things like that that I can't automate. That way, I have the freedom and the flexibility to pour back in and do advocacy work. But I have to say no. Like, you
Yeah.
have to say no sometimes. And I think that's the one thing that we aren't programmed to do. We aren't good at it. We want to say yes. We want to do so much for so many others. But honestly, if you don't say no sometimes, you're going to sell yourself short. You're going to water down your product. You're going to water down your results. And so you need to really laser focus on what you need right now so that you can do that and so that you can be the best that you can be for whatever's going to come next too.
Right. And I will say, I know a lot of spouses do this for several reasons. Number one, if you are starting to gain a platform, people want to hear what you have to say. And there's been such a long deprivation of people wanting to hear what you have to say because you've been the backup dancer for your family for a while. I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes any sense, but there is this, and I remember kind of going through this too, this feeling of like, oh my gosh, people actually care about what I have to say. They think it's important. Yes, 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 right?
Mhm.
But I do think it is important to acknowledge that your time is valuable and there you have to start getting paid for certain things. And that is also something that I struggled with in the past before. And a lot of spouses struggle with that because they feel like it's advocacy work. So why should I charge? You have to, who's going to pay for the coffee and the gas, the mileage and the travel, right?
Right.
So really just acknowledging that you are charging so that you can do the work you're doing. You can't
Yes.
continue to do it pro bono. Now there are, what I always say is like, for me, there's a certain amount of hours of pro bono work that I do, right? And I set those hours at the beginning of the year and I take on the community itself is a huge amount of pro bono hours that I do. And then additional events or things like that. But then
Yes.
there are some that I'm just like, no, I've reached my max.
Right.
That's usually by April or May.
Yep.
And now I'm like, okay, I have to start like these are the fees, and really
Yep.
start having honest conversations. But that also comes with, setting those boundaries and rules and knowing what you should be charging for and not charging for as a business owner. Advocacy work does not always mean free. That's what I believe. So before we wrap up, I want our listeners to walk away with something tangible. What are three things that spouses can do this week, right? For them to, go after and embrace their leadership.
That's a really good question. First, I think that they should do the exercise that we talked about earlier in the call. I think that they need to take some time to slow down and to really think through and consider and celebrate all the ways that they're already leading for themselves, for their families, for their communities, for their business. Because there are a lot of ways you're already leading, and you need to acknowledge that and see that for what it is. There's probably not nearly enough people in your life giving you praise, including yourself, for all that you've accomplished and all that you're currently doing. So you need to sit down and do that. That would be the first thing that I would say definitely do. Other things that they can do this week, uh, jump into the community and get to know other people who are doing it. It's going to feel a lot less lonely if you have people around you. So start with the AMC community, see who's in there, get active, talk to other people, get to meet people who are local to you if you would like, or if you don't, if you're worried about competitors or things of that nature, there's people from all over. There are really great spouses in that group, and those spouses that I met when I first joined AMC are still some of the ones that I use as contractors. They're still some of my business battle buddies. Um, so make sure to use the resources that you have at hand. Like go out and do that today. Like meet one or two new people who are in a similar stage and phase as your business so that you don't feel lonely. And number three, don't be afraid to dream for your business. Like write down 3 things that you want to do in 2026 for your business. What do you want to do next year? What haven't you done yet that you think might be like make a dream sheet, not just for you, not just for your family. Oh my gosh, we got to get so and so out of high school. We have to buy a car. No, 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 no. I'm talking about for your business. Like, what do you want for your business, for you? Because what you're doing, you're building a business, not just for you. It's not because you're selfish, it's because you're supporting your family financially. Like, that's the goal, is to build this thing so amazing so that you can provide a financial future and financial stability for the next generation. And so if you don't start dreaming and looking ahead and writing those things down on paper on purpose, it's never going to happen because you're not going to know what you're aiming at. So I would do the list out how you're leading, get your community around you, and then write down 3 things you want to do in 2026. And don't tell me why you can't. Tell me why you can.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I love that. All right. We're going to jump into our lightning round.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready for lightning. Let's do it.
Best book for military spouse leaders.
Best book for military spouse leaders. Ooh. One that I've just read recently that I really like, The Speed of Trust.
Ooh.
It's so good. It's meaty. It's not a quick read, but it is really good. If you want a little bit lighter version, but really leans heavy into trust, go with The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. That one's only like 4 hours on audiobook. So that one might be a little bit more, consumable for spouses who are listening on in their earbuds or whatever when they're out, on walking the dog or whatever. Let's see here. Those 2 I think are going to be the 2 that I recommend most often.
Those are really good. One leadership myth to ditch right now.
That you're not enough.
Your go-to move when confidence is low.
Ooh. I call a friend, and not the nice one. I'm going to call the one that gives me a kick in the ass, that says that will literally,
Right.
throw a flag on the play and be like, you're being dumb. No, absolutely not. That's not who you are.
Fill in the blank. Military spouse leaders are blank.
Can I go back to tenacious?
You can.
Okay.
This is your episode, baby. You can do it.
Perfect.
What part of your journey are you owning up to? Last question.
I want to own up to the fact it's not easy.
Yeah.
Like none of this has been easy. My journey is unique, just as every single other military spouse's journey is unique. And it's not unique with a negative connotation. It's unique in that it's your own. It's yours to write. You hold the pen and you get to write the next chapter. And whether it's time to put the book down for a while and pick it back up later, or whether you got to keep writing, you get to choose what comes next. And you get to be every single day when you're writing that story for you, for your family, for your kids, for your future, you get to choose if you get to be the victim or the victor. And I really, really hope you choose the latter, because there are a million different reasons why you could pull the victim card.
Right.
I could think of several right now in my own personal circumstance, but it's not worth it. That's not the story you want your friends, family, or kids to know about you. Because I believe that everybody has the opportunity to win, to succeed, and to lead well. Mm-hmm. And so go out and do it. Make it happen. You are enough. You have exactly what you need right where you are to get started today. doing something to build closer to your dream. Even if it's baby steps, one or two things, give it a try.
I love that. That is a perfect way to end this episode with you, Andrea. Tell us a little bit more before we go. Tell us where we can find you.
Yes.
We can connect with you outside of Leadership Lab, which
Okay.
new dates are going to be posted soon for those of you that have been anticipating or have been a part of Leadership Lab. We will be posting those soon, but jump on in and let us know.
Yes. So Leadership Lab is great. I hope to see more and more people there. That's a super fun place to get to meet other business owners and see what other people are doing. But beyond that, I'm on LinkedIn often sharing bits and pieces of my journey, sharing leadership advice. And you can just find me on LinkedIn. Also, I have a website and it's www.thetimegroup.com. And with that, you'll be able to link to all of my different socials. I'm starting to get a few things up on YouTube. I have a blog on my website. So, and I also have Instagram too. So if I'm mostly on IG, feel free to follow me there too.
Awesome. Thank you for being with us today. And in closing,
Yes.
I want to remind everybody that you are a leader. If this episode didn't do anything else for you, that is a message I want you to leave with today. Your business needs your leadership. The military spouse community needs your leadership. I want you to share this episode with a fellow military spouse and business owner who needs to hear it. Go rate and review us, and reminding you to please jump into Leadership Lab. And leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up for yourself and your business. And with that said, thank you guys so much for tuning in today again for another episode of Owning Up, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.
Yes. Thank you.